money, Lebowski? Where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the fucking money, shithead?
It's down there somewhere. Let me take another look.
Obviously, you're not a golfer. Bam! That's our intro from The Big Lebowski, because we fucking love The Big Lebowski here.
Can't go wrong.
No, here at the Good Talk Podcast, we worship The Big Lebowski. It's a virtual worship.
Dudism.
They've written books about it.
I'm an avowed dudist.
It's a philosophy. People want to dress like the dude. They want to talk like the dude. Listen, I would contend I could spend an entire day holding conversations only using Big Lebowski quotes.
Not only could I have and will continue to do so in the future.
We love the Big Lebowski here at the Good Talk Podcast. And if you love the Lebowski, one thing I want to know from you, what's your favorite Lebowski quote? Tweet it to us at the Good Talk 5 on Twitter, or hit up our Facebook. It's Good Talk the Podcast. If you love Lebowski, share us your favorite scene, your favorite quote,
pictures
your favorite
of cosplay,
moment,
things like that.
Yeah. Oh, a great idea. If you cosplayed, we cosplayed one year. We had our own little Lebowski Fest party, and it was fucking awesome. And we probably had about a dozen people that came over. We all dressed up as characters from Lebowski. We honored the dude in the only way you can.
By transforming into the characters themselves.
And drinking White Russians.
Clearly.
We call them Lebowskis.
Oh, they make me black out, though.
Of course. So
vodka is blackout juice.
One thing we fucking love to do here at the Big... I was going to call us the Big Talk.
The Big Talk.
The Big Talk.
Well, can't we be that, too?
Well, we are Big Talk.
The good Big Talk.
This is going to be a good Big Talk.
It will be.
Yeah.
Episode 3, man.
Episode 3, we've made it, and I already feel like we've come so far from that first silly-ass episode we did.
First one was okay. Second one, I feel like we did a lot better. This one, I really want to knock this one out of the park. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I'm not going to put those expectations on
I'm
us.
going
If
to.
Rub wants to knock it out of the park, I will be fucking happy with, like, a double. If I can get a double, maybe an RBI with it.
Let's at least score a run.
Let's score.
I'm on board with the RBI. That'll be fine.
Everybody wants to score.
Right.
Don't they?
Yeah.
You don't want to be dried up or soft, do you?
No.
Let the libido
This is
rule.
America.
No, it's America. But we want to start with divisive questions.
Yes.
Questions to which there is one answer or the other. There's
top
no middle
5,
ground.
people.
The middle ground with these questions that we are about to hit each other with, well, actually, Rub's going to hit me this time.
Yep.
But these questions, the only middle ground is the giant cataclysm that it leaves in your soul that you have to fill with the wonder and desire and choice and circumstance and consequence of your decision in this question.
That cosmic buzzsaw at the end of time.
Oh, that cosmic buzzsaw. That fucking turd cutter that just fucking seals the deal, slice it off, make it plop. There's no third choices.
Nope.
If you want a third choice...
Yay or nay?
Yay or nay.
One or two.
If you want a third choice, we hate you. Okay? No, we don't hate anybody. It's all about love here, but
although if you wish to instigate our ire, you're gonna start interjecting third answers into these. These are ones or zeros, people. Yes or no?
Do you want to instigate our ire? So
I submit that you do not.
This time, Rub is dipping into our giant, glorious, endless pool of fucked up questions, or wonderful, however you want to look at them.
Like them or love them, we'll get through it.
He's hitting me today.
Sure.
So I'm ready.
Are you? We're ready for question number 1. I'm going to give you space exploration versus oceanic exploration, which to you is not only more important, but offers more answers to your questions.
Man, I'm such an aquatic being.
Sure.
But that duality of my own nature also has part of me pushing into space. And I sort of have a side question with this.
Yeah.
Is my space exploration, how far can I go? What are my depths? Is it this galaxy? Is it further.
Well, ultimately, it's the exploration, that answers questions, that allows us to develop further technology in order to reach deeper. Yes.
So
at this very point, I'm afraid you're stuck to. I mean, the moon. We've been there. We've Venus. We've been there with probes. But really, in terms of setting foot on anything,
nobody's
the moon,
probed my Venus.
We've topped out at the moon.
So
is it always just a matter of technology? No, it's not. It's more often than not a question of money. So, but which is more important to you? Which would you like to see? I guess more understanding of maybe the surface of the ocean, or space itself in our cosmic environment. It's a tough question.
It is, and it's got me sort of dumbfounded here because I have to put myself in that pressure cooker and I have to go.
I'm not sure there is a right answer here.
And none of these questions, except for pizza or burrito, is there a right or wrong answer.
Understood.
And
Understood.
Pizza, burrito. If you go burrito, you're dying in a fiery pit of hell.
Just shut it down.
Just kidding, burrito eaters. I'm just kidding a little bit. You suck compared to pizza eaters, but I have to go with where I feel I could right now explore, gather, and return.
Sure.
I want the oceanic exploration.
That's a good answer.
The reason I want it.
It's a good answer. It's right there, man.
Well, it goes so much further than just understanding the fish, the sharks, the jellyfish, the mollusks.
But the geology.
What came there before?
Yeah.
What is sunken in there?
Sure.
And I'm so terrible right now, and we got to get better at being Google fact checkers when we're doing this. But they just discovered
we're very busy while we're
an
podcasting.
entire
it's tough
valley,
to do both.
An entire valley of previously undiscovered, unexplored sunken ships. And these things are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years old.
I'm shocked that I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, it's out there. And so what else is beneath the ocean floor? Because the technology that we are using to map this out only sort of identifies some of these general shapes. And they're mapping thousands and thousands and thousands of square miles.
Yeah.
And then when they're mapping that out, you then have a researcher that is assessing that and looking over it.
Right.
So who chooses when you've got 1 million square miles to assess at the bottom of this ocean?
2/3 of the Earth's surface is water.
And how much was formerly not water? Do you know?
Has
it always been 2/3?
No, during the Ice Age, a lot of that water was ice on top of landmass, and therefore the oceans were several. I don't even want to say feet, probably more like kilometers, receded.
So one might argue that entire civilizations have sunken into the ocean that we have yet to discover.
Not only can we argue that possibly, we can say definitively yes.
I want to go so far into the ocean so as to explore.
Right.
What makes an anglerfish work? How does he survive that pressure under there?
Nasty little bastard.
Well, he's evil. They're mean. They're a predator. But he
works perfectly. Let's not attribute evil to him. He just looks like our definition of pure goddamn evil.
What? How do I amalgamate that into like some sort of human ability? Because that pressure
and whatnot, and the ability to withstand the pressure. The fact is, he's not an air breather. He breathes just the oxygen out of the water. So therefore, like really, when you talk about pressure, the things that will cause damage to something as you were to descend from, say, sea level down into the depths would be not just pressure, but pressure differential. It means that you have a certain pressure that is, say, 1 atmosphere within you, and the pressure outside, again, is 1 atmosphere, so you're at balance. But as you go down, the pressure inside of you is still 1 atmosphere, but the pressure outside of you becomes more and more and more, and that creates a crushing effect. If you don't have that pressure differential, in the case of the anglerfish, of a giant squid, jellyfish, anything like that, they just exist in what to them is just very normal conditions. It's just like us existing in 1 atmosphere. They just happen to exist at a couple thousand atmospheres, where it's just so alien to us. but to them it's just another day.
Oh, it's alien.
It's very alien.
Virtually, really beyond. I won't say beyond imagination because we're right here waxing
right
about
on the
right
verge,
now.
though, isn't it?
But we can only get down there with submarines.
Right.
We don't. I don't even think they're man-made at this point. But that's where my questions would lie. Are there pyramids down there? Are there civilizations we've lost? Is there technology? Can I find Atlantis? Bring me to fucking Atlantis.
Sure.
I'm okay. I think we're gonna find ocean pyramids before moon pyramids.
Okay.
I'm going
fair
ocean.
enough.
I'm going ocean.
You're going ocean.
Question.
It's a good answer.
Yeah, question
it's
two.
a good answer. There's certainly a lot more space
Way more
to
space.
explore
Yeah.
than there is ocean to explore.
But I wouldn't get there in my time.
There's a lot more immediate answers for you in oceanic exploration. It's a good answer.
And that sort of drives, I think that was the driving force behind my final choice there on that question, was
Right.
that I felt like there was a more immediate, stronger immediacy
Sure.
to my answers and
That's
my
a
questions.
good answer.
Yeah.
I'm going to support that answer.
Yeah, you have to. Pizza.
Question 2 is maybe a bit easier, maybe a bit harder. Who knows? But much more simple to ask.
I'll be the judge of
Superman
that.
versus Batman.
Like, who do I want to be?
Who
Or
would
do
win
I-
in
who
a
do-
fight, and then who would you want to be? Sure, they can be 2 questions.
Well, Batman's a chump-ass human. I don't care how smart he is. I don't give a fuck about his resources. I'm gonna underestimate him.
Okay.
I want to be the demigod. I'm picking Superman. That is easy.
Superman is-
I'm gonna elbow drop Batman from the fucking moon.
See, I've always had that viewpoint too. Yes, Batman has keen detective
tricks.
skills and technology and money, but the fact is, if Superman can move at or near the speed of light, and there's just no defense to any.
If you're Batman, you are relying on some crazy
I know there's some
scientific
Batman fans
gimmick.
out here, but Superman is way
Batman's a
overpowered.
human, guys. I know the
Way
comics have written
overpowered.
him to be awesome because he's some crafty fucking billionaire.
Sure.
But he's not even as good as Tony Stark.
No, Tony
Okay?
Stark, Iron Man would destroy, Batman. Absolutely,
It wouldn't even, yeah.
absolutely.
He would send his robots to go do it for him.
If you want to argue about that, you come to our page, and we'll have this discussion.
Yeah. Hit us up. Hit us up at Good Talk the Podcast on Facebook or the Good Talk 5 on Twitter. And do you support Batman? Do you support Superman?
I want to hear from you.
Do you want us to go fuck ourselves?
Right? Yeah. No third answers though.
Third answers in this question.
I don't want to hear Wolverine.
If
okay?
you want us to fuck ourselves, it has to be in addition to Superman or Batman.
Right.
And we know
You will need to qualify that answer with an answer to our question. And then we can have that discussion.
All right.
I'm open to fucking myself, people. This is not a problem. But
No.
I want to hear the answer to the question first.
Don't fuck me if you're not willing to be fucked or get fucked.
There needs to be
'Cause
an
I'll
answer
fuck
to the
myself.
question, and then
No
there
third
can be fuckery. Okay.
We'll let the fuckery begin.
Question
Then.
3: comedy or drama?
Oh.
Do you wish to be entertained by being intrigued or by being,
What the fuck?
right.
Do I want to laugh or do I
Right.
want to cry?
Yeah.
Comedy or drama?
Yeah.
And there are no third options.
No.
I guess.
These aren't supposed to be easy questions.
No, and I guess like in the realm of comedy, my favorite movie exists. And
Right.
That's The Big Lebowski.
Right.
And as much as I love the deep, well thought out, analytical dramas, like a drama is not just some whiny bitch crying because or some whiny fucking baby man, or it's not about crying.
A drama can also be a psychological thriller.
A crime drama.
Yeah.
The Godfather was a
Yeah.
drama, even though I don't revere The Godfather the way many other people do, but
It was good. It was a great
good.
movie,
It's fun.
but
It's fun.
it's just not my flavor.
No, it's
I
not.
prefer. I prefer comedy.
No, and no offense if you're a whiny man or a woman. I'm a crybaby.
I will cry.
Dramas really do it for me because
Sure.
I fucking love to tap into that sensitive, emotional fountain that I know is there.
Maybe
and
a deeper exploration.
I don't hide from it.
No, you shouldn't.
I will let that waterfall go.
Absolutely.
I cried at Armageddon. Yeah, right. That was a long time ago.
I credit Forrest Gump.
I have to go comedy. The Big Lebowski is my favorite movie of all time. Monty Python and the Holy Grail. I look at all these great moments.
Sure.
Tropic Thunder.
That was so
the
good.
list goes. The list goes on and on.
Right.
I have to go comedy.
So you're gonna go comedy.
I
agree.
Yeah, even if that means that I'm eliminating all the greatest crime dramas.
Sure.
I'm going comedy.
You're going comedy.
I just watched The Infiltrator.
I've not seen that.
Not okay. So it was amazing. It's with Bryan Cranston. Some of you might know him as Walter fucking White from from Breaking Bad.
Right.
The Infiltrator has him. It's based on a true story. In one of my favorite eras in the history of mankind, the 80s, when cocaine was popular, Pablo Escobar was basically running Mexico and running half of Florida.
Okay.
And if you've seen like Blow, right? Blow, the movie Blow, story of George Young,
Great movie.
Johnny Depp with a great movie.
Great movie.
So
Loved it.
same story, but spin the angle on the man who established the money laundering and money filtering for the cartels.
Okay.
And he worked it through all these foreign banks, Saudi banks, European banks.
Right.
But he was a fucking undercover the whole time.
Sure.
And as an undercover, worked his way as a friend, as a loved one, as a brother,
Right.
through the most dangerous cartel era in history.
Yeah,
during
right?
the 80s.
Talk about navigating a minefield.
We're talking about a time in the 80s, there was entire Miami police precincts that
Everyone was
every
dirty.
one of them was
Every single one of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
To
Every
a
one of
man.
them. Either they were convicted or were brought up on charges or were murdered in the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were entire and that's not hyperbole. That happened.
Yeah. So The Infiltrator, great movie. That's a drama. Blew my mind. I love the era. I love the content matter.
Yeah.
But I would still go,
I need to check that out.
oh God, you
have
have
you seen
to.
Narcos?
No, I want
Watch
to so bad.
fucking Narcos.
Well, yeah, and anyone who's seen Narcos is gonna love
Oh my
the movie
God.
Blow, or they're gonna love the movie, the movie The Infiltrator. It's that same
Well, it's
content.
that-
It's
exactly.
the 80s.
They're really telling the same story from different angles.
from many different angles.
Narcos is so
I love it.
good. The
No,
guy who
it's
plays
so on.
Pablo, I'm telling you right now, if he hasn't won every, and I don't know, but if he hasn't won every award that is possible for him to win, then this world makes no sense, and I need to die because he's
Well,
fucking
I don't
amazing.
want you to die, but I'm gonna drop a bombshell right now. The world definitely doesn't make sense. I mean, unless you're, it doesn't.
In no way do I expect it to, but
it
if
can't.
that fella doesn't win several awards for his portrayal of Pablo Escobar,
Hey, if it all made sense, would we have any questions anymore? If everything made sense, would
I
we stop
suppose we
questioning?
wouldn't.
That's a problem, right?
That is a problem.
So let's all take a moment to be grateful that none of this makes fucking
I
sense.
do you know what? I do want confliction in that regard. Yes.
Oh yeah, we are. We're
Life becomes quite boring if I have nothing left to learn.
we're on a spinning rock, fucking, traveling
Thousands of miles
potentially
an hour
yeah.
sideways through a solar system that's also traveling hundreds of thousands of miles an hour around a galaxy. People, this is we're dust on the flake of a piece of dust. We're nothing.
We're nothing.
Nothing.
You are not a beautiful and unique snowflake,
Well, you are that.
are you?
Yeah. Your ability to witness this, our consciousness, right? That's what makes us special. Our existence is not special. Our ability to witness this existence is special, at least as far as we know.
Yeah, I can
Fair
roll
enough.
with that. Yeah,
Fair enough.
that's beautiful.
That's how I've looked at it. Maybe I'm the dumb one. I don't know. Question 4. When you go to the movies, do you prefer a 3D or a standard 2D experience?
Oh, it's 2D.
2D? Me
very,
too.
very, very rarely do I opt in for 3D.
I always feel like it's slightly out of focus.
I did it for Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Right. I saw it in both ways.
I think prior to that I did it for Avatar, and I had a lot of people recommend recently that you
Maybe Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, exactly.
Maybe that's going to be good.
where I was going.
I haven't seen Doctor Strange yet.
Yeah, 2D. I think a lot of my 2D option also, and other people with glasses will understand my
Oh,
plight.
that's right. You wear glasses.
Wear
That probably
glasses.
really would fuck you
I don't
up.
do contacts. I can't do
Sure,
it.
yeah.
They bother the fuck out of my eyes. So
Okay.
I do glasses. Wearing the 3D glasses over my glasses is a bit of a pain in the ass. So.
I bet it would
Going
be.
2D, brother. Let's drop question 5.
Question
The
5.
Good Talk 5.
This one is the bombshell. To your experience, does your mind, your consciousness, give rise to material in this universe, or is it the other way around? Does your material brain give rise to your consciousness? This can go a little bit deep, but really it answers just how do you look at your existence and where is it that you come from? Is there more to your existence than just your three-dimensional material brain, or is it far more complicated than that?
I am a subscriber to it being far more complicated.
Me too.
I am not a classically studied anything.
No, neither of us are.
I just fucking read.
Right.
And I think and I ponder and I wonder and I love doing that. And one of the things I've considered are all this electrical energy that is
Right.
churning through my body.
Right.
What does it mean? What does it create? Where did it come from?
And is that the entirety of your existence?
Well, I know enough, even being a layman, that energy doesn't die.
Right.
So we have that energy.
It can be transformed.
It can be
into
transformed
other
and transferred, but
Right.
like
It
you
can't
can't end
necessarily
it.
be destroyed.
You can't squish it out. You can't
No, it doesn't work that way.
extinguish it. It's
Right.
not a candle.
No,
Right? Like you. So, I'm definitely going with that.
you're going with that. That mind gives rise to matter.
Mind.
Now that can go
absolutely gives.
really deep. That,
No,
that,
it
that-
can,
that
and-
doesn't
and-
necessarily mean at this point.
I've heard
at
people
least,
take it deeper than I'm willing to
Right.
embark on.
It really
is-
does. That rabbit hole goes super deep.
No, that rabbit hole goes really deep. Is that what people mean by when they sort of question, like, if a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to hear it, did it make a sound? Is that sort of like what you mean when you are suggesting, does my mind make it matter?
Yes. Yes. The very, very much so. That let's see here. It's been said and it's been noticed that our consciousness and our ability to witness any type of interaction in nature seems to be the sole creator of that instance. In other words, without our observation, that situation never takes place. I'm really gonna get off on something here. Backpedaling a little bit on that. In terms of what we witness versus what really is, you have to go back to experiments done in quantum physics, and you have to understand that, at least in our best understanding, and by us we mean science in general, that without the witness, without the observer, there is no observed.
That's
so it's,
weird.
It's sort of an answer to that question, that without the observer to that tree falling, in fact, no, it doesn't make a sound. In fact, no, there is no tree.
Well, and then people say time is a man-made construct.
Right.
Who's there? If we weren't here observing time, then time wouldn't be happening.
Right.
Or would it? Right.
Yeah.
Like it's such a fucking weird thing that
Even just to define time itself is not something that we have a firm grasp on. Just everything is just this man-made construct, and it's drawn of the effect of our planet orbiting a sun every 365 days, turning on its own axis every 24 hours, and all these other things. But it's a construct made out of convenience so that we can kind of be more productive. And yet without that, there just kind of is this steady evolution of things.
At what
stars
point-
are born, stars die, planets are born, planets die, but there's no clock out there. It doesn't work that way.
at what point did the first asshole who used a sundial and discovered time, at what point, I wonder, did it click for him that he could use that as a form of control? Right? Like,
No doubt immediately.
immediately. You think, like, the moment he's like, holy fuck, like this, look at the way the shadow moves along this,
Well, maybe
and like I can create organization, and boom,
Right,
he
maybe
starts ruling
maybe not to
motherfuckers.
control other people, but to control his own life.
His own life.
certainly. You begin to understand, I guess, from that point, seasons a little bit better? Well, the thing is, that is a great question, because actually you would have already understood. Obviously, if you got to the point of creating a
sundial, you're already managing your own time pretty fucking good.
You're harvesting crops.
You're on a level of organization like beyond.
You're not just some kind of basic hunter-gatherer type guy.
No.
You've probably already dug into civilization a bit.
But like you, at some point, you had to get people to buy into your shitty concept of time, right? Like, you had to get people to buy into that.
Right. Well,
and accept it and embrace it.
Call it shitty or call it amazing. It's
one way or the other. It's kind of become a form of rule and control.
Sure.
Or the counterpoint is that it's a form of organization.
It's a form of anti-chaos.
Anti-chaos, of course. And we needed that. At some point,
we wouldn't have civilization without it. We wouldn't have computers.
Without the construct of time.
Yeah, well, you absolutely need to be able to time out events, at least the time between 2 points happening, in order for, transportation to be efficient, in order for computers to even be conceived of. Global positioning systems rely specifically on time. In fact, you have to start at that point putting in relativity equations where time experienced by a global positioning satellite is not the same time that you that you experience on the surface of the Earth, due to the speed that those satellites are traveling relative to you. You run into time dilation, where that time is different. It's a whole nother ball of wax with relativity.
My God, Raub just fucking sliced through the concept of time like a hot knife through butter.
And by no means do I know it all.
No, he doesn't know anything in that. But that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So
the closer you go to the speed of light, the less time you experience relative to something that is not moving.
Right. But going back to,
like, if I was to leave,
dude, what you're telling me is the guy who made the sundial and created time, he's not getting enough credit, because
he set us on a path towards,
because time was an invention.
Right, yeah.
Time's an invention.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks of it that way, though.
Sure.
When you think invention, you think the light bulb, electric cars, the internet, computers.
So was time.
Time.
So was time, yeah.
Like the wheel.
Yeah.
Time.
The way we understand it, yes.
The invention of time, more important than the invention of the wheel?
The invention of measuring time.
Measuring.
The invention of time itself, as it were, just in terms of like an event passing, that's kind of always been. But the human invention of measuring time and from one event to another, and that's been sunrise, sunset, or sunrise, sunrise, AM, PM, or 24 hours. That sort of was what set us on this path of society as we know it.
Look, time has become, in one way or another, a form of mind control.
Sure. Well,
it is.
It's been used for nefarious purposes sometimes, I guess, and it depends on how you look at it.
I like to look at time in relevance to my own biological clock.
Right, okay.
Because the way time is important to you shifts upon your personal biological clock. And I guess what I mean, guys, by my biological clock, that means, to me, my body's innate will to wake up, go to sleep.
Right.
Eins, zwei.
I'm awake, I'm asleep. Is the sun high in the sky, or is it low?
Because if you have obviously worked a night shift your entire life, and I've worked a day shift my entire life, your biological clock, way different than mine. I mean,
that's like a circadian rhythm.
Yeah, there you go. What the fuck do you mean by that? Is a circadian rhythm? Explain that to motherfuckers who don't know what a circadian rhythm is.
I might be way
I'm sorry, dude.
off base
I'm
on
sorry
this
to
one.
hit you on point. I'm sorry. I'm calling you out.
No.
I don't mean.
I might be way off base on this, but at least to my definition of a circadian rhythm is just that. It is your natural alarm clock. Do you naturally feel awake at this point in the day? Feel tired at this point of the day? Feel as though you want to eat at this point of the day? Or feel as though you're energized and want to play at this certain point in the day, is sort of a natural biological clock that's going on inside of you that's not necessarily affected, but still sort of affected by outside events. It can be slowly changed or influenced by outside events, but it's still something that's very much happening within you.
Well, and it's so important to the point that at least in American society, the puppet masters, if you will,
Right.
forgive the foil hat wearer in me, but the mind control puppet masters that are pulling the strings at some point saw fit to manipulate the way we reflect on time every year in the form of not only time zones, but in daylight savings time, spring forward, fall back. I understand it's somehow linked in the past, they say, to farming, but I mean, what's the motivation there? Why do you have to change time in accordance with the sun to change what I'm doing? Because that's really what it affects.
Yeah,
The worker. It was a way to control the worker.
It seems to be a form of organization, and that's actually.
You like organization,
but it needs
I
to
kind of
be.
like control.
Well, without organization, how do we have the things that we have? You can put nefarious purposes on just about anything. Time itself is innocent. The creation of it, but more, it's what we're forced to do. It's not always bad. It's just that you're forced to. Yeah, you have to get up and go to work at 8 a.m. and you're done at 5. But I mean, it's just kind of how it is. Is that good? Is it bad? Not necessarily. It's just sort of is. I don't know. I guess I have a hard time attributing necessary nefarious purposes to the idea of time. It's just a form of organization.
Yeah, form of control, form of organization.
Right.
One way or the other.
A form of anti-chaos.
I want to get lost in time, and
Sure.
so I'm here weighing down what it means, how it applies, what we do with it. And I think, of course, a critical component to time comes back to one of our big themes here. It's growth. It's embracing new information. And clearly, managing your time
Right.
is sort of paramount in like personal growth and evolution, right?
Sure.
Like how are you facilitating your time with yourself spent trapped in your own mind?
That's part of creating that balance between living this life in this three-dimensional world that we're forced to live in, and still taking the time to explore within yourself and understand things that might not be time-bound. You still have to create that balance. You can't just dedicate yourself 100% either way. You'll find yourself either homeless or, I guess, rather miserable.
And nobody wants to be left there in misery.
No.
And sometimes thinking too much leads you there, though.
Sure.
Right? And concepts of time and work and self-management and compartmentalization. Where do you put all that? How do you manage your time? How do you manage the day-to-day, the 1-2, the 1-2? What works for you?
Well, for myself, I guess every spare moment I have where I'm not engaged in something that is necessarily productive towards career and maintaining a life in hard reality, I do spend in deeper thought, in introspection, looking at my relationship in terms of my consciousness compared to its place in the universe and just what it is that my purpose is here.
When you ask that question now, and I think this is my ego asking this question.
Sure.
I'm going to identify that right now. But what is my place here?
Yeah.
Is that not sort of like an ego-driven question? Is that not like sort of this thing where you want to justify yourself in some way, shape, or form?
It's a good question. That's a very good question. And yes, I feel like that is an ego-driven question. It's the ego striving for a definition of itself. It needs to be satiated and it needs to be defined.
The ego's a vampire, kind of.
Very much.
Is it
so.
not?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Right?
The ego doesn't necessarily receive.
But not a parasite.
It can't
not
really.
a parasite.
It can't really create happiness or contentment from within itself. It searches for things outside of itself to define itself.
So while you were diving within yourself,
Right.
and you're finding new ways to explore your subconscious,
Sure.
your
Or
quest,
even just my consciousness.
yeah,
as a
whatever,
whole.
your consciousness as a whole. I guess I like to reference the subconscious a lot as if everything fucking comes from there. Like it's like this mystical case that's hidden away in your brain, and it's all these random things that get caught in the fucking drain, right? It's all these weird thoughts that get caught in the drain back there.
And I guess it sort of is.
Isn't that like if your fucking brain is a sink and you got to wash the dishes up there and everything's got to get dirty and it's got to get fucking scrubbed and you know what's up there, you know what you're cleaning, you know what you're putting into the dishwasher,
Right.
But some of that shit's draining down, and is that kind of like where the subconscious is? It gets caught in the drain, and that's where some of these weird thoughts come from.
The relationship between, I guess as far as I see it, conscious and subconscious kind of determines how you feel about something or how you go about something. The consciousness itself determines how you deal with how you feel or how you deal with how you would go about something. Each one can influence the other. I guess I find much more interesting the consciousness itself, just our ability to be here and witness. That's much more my I don't know, my passion, my what I look for.
Yeah, you're looking for that conscious experience that really is identifiably kind of shaping things.
Yeah,
in
and
some
I'd like
ways.
to define just what it is
Well,
to be conscious.
I'd like to reference.
What am I?
I'd like to reference where your desire to explore that led you, and that was, I think it was last year on your birthday down to Denver, right? You went on your
that was a further exploration,
Yeah.
but my first float tank experience, was on October 16th.
your first float tank experience.
Yeah, in Boulder.
Amazing.
At I believe it was at Float. I think was the name of the place.
Float? Just like float on, or
I
like
think or was it Isolate? I can't recall. I'd have to look it up. They're in Boulder, outstanding facility. They were in the Vice documentary that Hamilton Morris did on float tanks, and
love Hamilton Morris.
oh, he's such a stud. I love that guy.
But you went out there alone, right? Like nobody was there to hold your hand.
No, I went camping.
You
up
kind
in
of
the
like did your
mountains
research.
north of Boulder, up Boulder Canyon for a few days leading up to it. Kind of tried to center myself, and this was during a time where in my life where I was really looking for bigger answers and things like that, and willing to go down some roads that I wouldn't have gone normally. And I had my very first float tank experience on my birthday, 2015.
That's a cool thing. Right on your birthday,
Yeah,
the day of.
Yeah,
And
I sat in there for 4.5 hours.
4.5 hours on your first sit.
Yeah.
So, folks,
They didn't want to believe me either. Like they said, there's no way you're going to sit
no,
through that long.
for someone that has never heard of an isolation tank,
Yeah.
there might be someone listening.
Oh, there's-
they
sure,
haven't.
there's plenty.
I'm not going to assume everyone listening to this right now
Right.
knows what a flotation
Yeah.
tank is. What is it? What did you get into for 4.5 hours?
Right.
You're sealed in,
Right.
right?
Well, you can get in and out. You're not necessarily sealed in, but
Yeah, you're not trapped.
you're not trapped. No, but
shut off.
an isolation tank or a float tank is a tank. It's an light-proof box, soundproof box, in which you get inside and lay down. It's about 8 foot long, about 4 foot wide, and inside there's about 10 to 12 inches of extremely, extremely salty water. It has about 800 pounds of Epsom salts dissolved in that water, and that water is roughly the same temperature as the surface of your skin. So if you can imagine yourself laying on your back, face up, in this water is the same temperature as the surface of your skin.
In darkness.
There's no light, there's no sound, there is no smell. All of the senses that you're used to being inundated with on a daily basis, constantly giving you input about the external world, are essentially useless to you at this point. All you have left is your consciousness and what it is that is you. Your ability to witness and to sit through this experience. That's all that's left. So at first your senses kind of start to grab at things and create an experience for you where at a certain point, for example, I couldn't tell whether I was oriented horizontally or vertically. I had no frame of reference.
You
right?
lost all frame of reference.
All frame of reference is gone.
Upside down, left or right.
Up, down, left, right. It was gone. You just are, right? And because you're all of these senses, they're not receiving any input, so they're kind of starting to, I guess, freak out a little bit because they're not used to this. So they start kind of creating this experience out of just nothingness. At one point, I started to feel as though I was rolling to my right. I knew I wasn't rolling. Like, it's impossible. You're floating like a cork in this water. This is very, very, very salty water. You float like crazy. You couldn't sink if you wanted to. But I felt as though I was rolling. I had sensations of movement. Again, impossible. It wasn't really happening, but my senses were trying to become accustomed to not having any input. And at a certain point, they sort of, I guess, give up. And you start
echoing
dreaming.
Across the inner void of your soul.
I mean,
that's what I like to call it.
You kind of have a waking dream. Closest thing to a psychedelic experience I've ever had without needing to ingest anything that's not endogenous. It's a wonderful experience. I've done it several times since, and I'd recommend it to anybody.
Yeah, as we are here encouraging exploration and new information and ways to access that, maybe different ways to access parts of your brain that you didn't know you wanted to work with, maybe ways to tap into other potentials that are just there. They're waiting inside all of us.
Yep.
This moment was waiting for us. And we found it, and it's fucking fun.
This is so much fun.
If 3 of you motherfuckers are enjoying this as much as Raub and I are, then
I think we've done our job.
Yeah, we've done it. We've done it effectively. So part of discovery and exploration, I too finally found my way into a float tank.
Yeah, we got you in at Float On in Portland.
Absolutely. And it was every bit as blissful as I could have imagined. And one thing that I've conversated with a lot of people who have never in their life considered the concept of a float tank.
Right.
Have you? Like, ever? Like, people don't...
Have I conversed with those who have never considered the possibility?
The possibility.
I would
didn't know they existed.
99% of the people
don't know.
Have no idea that have never even like you said, never considered the possibility.
Thing, but have you ever thought of it? Because if now you're in a major city somewhere, it's fucking there.
Odds are there's probably one within 10 miles of where you sit.
Do it. Spend the money. Splurge.
Do it.
Don't go out for supper one night this fucking month.
Sure.
And instead float, right?
Yeah.
Because for the cost of a decent supper and a couple of beers.
Yeah.
You can fucking float.
You could sit for an hour and a half.
About 90 minutes.
Yeah.
And when you get in there, let yourself go.
Yep.
You have to. One thing that I identified quickly was that as you lay in there,
it helps so much to practice with meditation.
Sure.
Leading up to the event, practice that being in the present,
quieting your brain,
and
knowing that when you lay your head back, that's the weirdest thing is sort of the instinctual survival lizard monkey reflex that doesn't want to fucking drown.
Right.
When you're laying back in there, you have to know that you can literally put all of your head weight back. And I have a big fat ass head. I'm in the big head clan.
Yeah.
For those of you in the world who don't know, there's a secret war And it's the Big Head Clan versus the Tiny Head Clan.
Oh, I see.
There's a secret fucking war going on there. And we promised people a conspiracy, and this is
think
it.
that's it.
I'm fucking telling you right now.
And that happened really organically.
Every time I go out in the public, I see one or the other. People have a big fucking head or a little fucking head.
Probably
There's no
has
medium-sized heads,
something
and everybody's in this secret big head, little head, tiny head fucking
It
war.
all started with J. Edgar Hoover and his executive actions.
Really? He was the first one to trigger the fucking tiny head suspicion with his executive action 96.
You've all just witnessed the birth of a conspiracy. I want you to carry this on.
Listen, people don't want to know about it, but tiny headism, big headism, it's fucking real.
It's not a convenient truth, people.
And I'm fucking team big head.
Team Big Head.
And I laid my big fat ass head right down
Yep.
in the salt tank.
Yep.
And I didn't fucking sink.
Nope.
So
You'll float like a cork in there.
yeah, it was monumental. They closed the. I showered before I got in there. I laid down, and from one thing I've kind of asked or discovered from other people I've engaged with who have had this experience is they really had sort of a lot of discomfort in the beginning,
Sure.
really amalgamating themselves to what was happening around them
It's
or
a new
not.
discipline. It's
Yeah.
a new thing. Don't rush it. Don't expect anything out of the experience. That's where I think probably a lot of people would go wrong.
Dude, I
is
sunk
to,
right
to,
in.
to take too many expectations in with them. You first have to learn how to navigate that tank for one thing. Bumping into the sides is a big
Yep.
distraction.
You do have
you
to
have
find
you have to
your
learn how to
balance.
navigate that, and that
love
takes a bit
balance.
of time. You know, that's one of the reasons I sat in my first time for so long, was just to really acclimate to the tank, and then I would get out for 5 or 10 minutes, gather my thoughts, and get back in for an hour and a half. My first appointment was 4.5 hours.
I wish I could have.
That
gone
was a
that
bit
long. That's amazing.
excessive.
No,
in
probably, for your
retrospect,
first one.
but there was a lot of edibles involved. I was in Boulder. It was all completely legal, but that's a catalyst certainly is welcome. Sometimes can that be a little bit overbearing? Yeah, definitely. But can it be also a great tool? Sure.
I got in there and I got comfortable, and
Yeah.
as you mentioned, the first kind of thing you have to manage and deal with is not bumping the sides.
Right.
But I sort of dialed that in really quick.
Soft touch with those sides, so that
Once you get it, like
you're not necessarily sending yourself in the other direction. You're only just
It's
arresting
weightlessness.
your movement.
It's allowing yourself to give in to the weightlessness
Yeah.
that the salt water allows you.
Yep.
It's not like a bed in terms of like, it's not. But it will work in the same way.
Sure.
And it will manage you in the same way. And I laid there, and my brain is always racing. It is something I have learned to manage over the years. Some people can just kind of shut it off and let it go, and it's not working. I know people, I can sit there, we're hanging out, and you say, well, hey, what are you thinking right now? Blank. I'm not going to draw a blank on that question. And that's not it's not bragging. That it's just that the gears are constantly turning on something up there for me. Sometimes it's frustrating. Does anybody else feel that way? But are you asking are you weighing yourselves down? What are the questions that are weighing your brain down? But not in a negative way. The questions working through me are oftentimes ones of a deeper nature, and I don't find myself struggling with them, but that's what leads me to the further exploration. That's what drove me into the salt tank. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to learn more about myself. Why does my brain work this way or that way? What is the programming that led to my assessment abilities, if you will, or my propensity to analyze things from weird fucking angles? If you have entered a situation with me, like I've oftentimes probably analyzed 5 different ways that may have brought you into that situation. One of which may be completely and highly imaginative and unrealistic, but I'm always fucking wondering, and I'm always curious. And so I got into that tank, I laid my fat ass fucking head down on the salt, and I floated, and I shut down. In those moments when it means something, I can shut it down. Now, I can't just do that on my everyday life, but when the moment fucking
That's a tough
counts.
discipline to be able to do. A lot of people wouldn't be able to do that.
I have very, very practiced. And as soon as I was able to let go of the man-made precepts that brought me into this tank,
right?
Release my mortal coil.
Just be witness.
Let go of the
to the
flesh.
present.
Sink into my consciousness.
Yes.
Feel the energy, not the physical, the energy, the spiritual, if you will, right? The essence.
It's there.
I got into that tank. People, I skipped across the very essence of my soul.
It can create a very beautiful experience. It's there.
It was sanguine.
The thing is, like, you just can't write a prescription for that. Like, I wish it was so simple as to say, if you pat your belly and rub your head and lay this certain way, and if everything it lines up, you're just going to have this same experience, or you're going to unlock certain areas of your psyche. I wish it was that simple. It's just not.
It's not a trick.
It's just like any other, really, it parallels a psychedelic experience where I can't write you a prescription for what I would define as like enlightenment or something that flips that switch inside you. It's just got to happen. You can line up those circumstances again and again and again and maybe fail every time, but there's going to come that time where you line those circumstances up and it comes through and you connect and beautiful things happen. But
listen,
it just takes
I want to go back in. I want to
effort.
go longer. I swear I could see the gatekeeper on the horizon when I went in there. I swear I could see him.
You were damn close then.
I was right there.
You were in a very, very, very beautiful place.
And there was nothing that helped me going in, right? There's no edibles in Oregon. Like, I couldn't do anything. It was just it was el natural.
Right. Totally
And-
possible. Totally possible. In fact, probably, I don't know, equally as possible with or without. Again, it probably plays into that temporal effect where it's either going to happen or it's not, and you don't really have much control over it.
No, you don't.
You can line up all those circumstances, all those things.
What
again
you
and again
do
and
have
again.
control over is what you can let go of when you get in there.
Definitely.
You have control over
Creating the
breathing.
set and setting.
A lot of people say, you focus on your breathing.
Yes.
But even then, you can't just sit there and focus on breathe in, breathe out, because that's still a
It's
distraction.
still a distraction.
You really have to focus not on the breathing in that it's happening and that your brain has to trigger it to make it happening, but that it is.
That it is.
That it is.
That it is.
And you're with it.
Now you're kind of in the present as opposed to being distracted by regrets of the past or promises of the future. You're here and now.
When you are
And
present,
that seems to be a doorway in and of itself. Forget, float tanks, forget psychedelics, forget everything. Just being able to lock one's consciousness into an experience of the now is extremely potent and powerful in and of itself. You can add everything else on top of that, but that is very much a basis. That's kind of where things kick off.
So, would you say, in your completely undoctored, unstudied, alleged, unprofessional,
Totally,
know
all of those
nothing,
things. All of those things.
bullshit,
Yes.
awesome opinion that every motherfucker who has access to a float tank should do one?
Well, give it a shot.
You have to,
yeah,
right?
If it strikes your curiosity in any way, shape, or form, and you've even given it the slightest degree of thought, then yeah, absolutely. go
Is
through
there
with
a
it.
possibility that you can, through a float tank, by letting yourself go, level up into a
Yes.
higher form of yourself?
Yes.
Because I felt so invigorated. I walked.
great
I
tool.
came through the other side of the void of my soul.
Sure.
Inside that tank,
Sure.
a better version of myself.
Awesome. Good.
In many ways.
Good.
More humble.
Yeah.
More willing to listen.
Yeah.
More in touch with the inner sense of myself.
Sure.
And more.
Yeah. It's all there.
It was amazing.
It was all there to begin with. This was a good tool to bring it out.
And we are sitting here as two individuals who have presided for most of our natural lives in North Dakota.
Right.
There is not a worthy float tank in our entire state. Is there a worthy one?
The one in Minot here is okay. I hope they make it better.
Is it better than nothing?
It's better than nothing,
Or
yes.
if you were to go to that for your first time, is it going to sort of taint what the pure experience is?
I would prefer to go to a Samadhi tank as opposed to this design. And that would be like at Isolate in Boulder or...
What I'm getting at is that, you know, a lot of our listeners, and I love you all, we're all here in Minot, but a lot of you, maybe you're out there in other cities and you've never experienced a float tank. We are in Minot, fucking North Dakota. The next best city to us is Minneapolis. It's 9 hours away, or Fargo is 4. We got into a float tank somehow. Find your way there if you are in L.A. or Washington or Portland.
It's a wonderful tool.
God, kick down the $60 Like I said, it's a dinner and a couple of beers, and you have this crazy cool experience, and you can discover more about yourself, about life, about this journey, process new information.
It's a great tool. It's a wonderful tool. One of many that one could employ to travel down that rabbit hole. But it's a lot of fun too. You know, even if you don't have like a stellar unlocking experience of the transcendental, it's still fun just to do, and it's relaxing. It's a very therapeutic type experience. The Epsom salts in the water can help
probably
you with some
supporting a
aches
local
and
business.
pains. You're no doubt very commonly supporting a local business. Epsom salts helps with aches and pains. Floating in that tank takes a lot of strain off of your lower back. You know, it's a therapeutic experience
One
too.
of the people I saw going
Physically
in when I
therapeutic,
went
and as
in,
well as a possible
they had a whole body
mental
brace
experience.
on, and they
Sure.
said they came there weekly.
I
They had an
remember her,
entire,
yeah.
like, body cast
Yeah.
on, and they said that was like some of the best relief they had.
Right,
So, one thing I would like to do.
and it's just fun.
We are going to hit a crossroads here. The Good Talk 5 is such a big part of what we're going to do here. I want to, on our next podcast, I want to incorporate one fan question
Yeah, bring it on.
for the Good Talk 5. So I'm not saying where it's going to come from. It might be a fan question submitted on our Twitter at the Good Talk 5. That's at the Good Talk 5 on Twitter. Or it might be a fan question submitted on Good Talk the podcast. Or maybe we'll see two questions that we like so fucking much. We use two of your questions. But the Good Talk, we are going to open with the Good Talk 5 because we want to fire people up with those crazy fucking questions.
It's a great way to start a conversation.
So, in closing, I want to thank my good buddy Chris Raub for being here.
You
I
are
fucking
most
love
welcome,
this
sir.
man.
Thanks for having me.
I couldn't do it without him. I want to thank Steve Wilson for the incredible art he has contributed to this. Please check him out.
Anybody listening right now.
He's on our Facebook page. It's Steve Wilson. It's Open Minded Studios. Check him out. He's fucking cool. He's a child of the '80s, just like you and me. And hey, if you're listening, we love you. Please tell a friend. Come to our Facebook. Troll us. Talk shit, engage with us.
Give us some
We
feedback.
want to hear from you. What do you think of our questions? Answer them every time we fucking air these. Do what you want. We are out there. We're putting ourselves out there. We want to interact at the Good Talk 5 on Twitter and the Good Talk Podcast on Facebook. We love you.
Love you guys. Thank you so much for listening. Good talk.